When a disaster strikes, an earthquake, a flood, a war, we always see that intense footage on the news. But have you ever wondered what happens after the cameras pack up and go home? Once the dust settles, one of the most basic, most fundamental human needs comes rushing to the forefront: shelter. And it's so much more than just a roof over your head. It's really the very first brick in rebuilding a life. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start right in the middle of the chaos, right after a disaster hits. Then we'll meet this incredible architect who literally designs houses out of paper. From there, we'll open up the whole toolbox of shelter options, get into the life-saving rules of relief work, and finally, we'll see how a simple structure can be about something so much bigger: human dignity. So just try to picture it. Thousands, sometimes millions of people are suddenly homeless. The very first challenge is just monumental. How do you get from total chaos to just basic cover? Well, it turns out it happens in very distinct stages. Yeah, the response unfolds in these really crucial phases. The first couple of weeks, that's all about pure survival. We're talking tents, plastic sheeting, literally anything to shield people from the rain and sun. But you can't rebuild your life in a tent. That's where this critical middle phase, transitional shelter, comes in. This isn't a forever home, but it is a vital bridge. It's a space that's durable enough to give a family safety and some stability while they start that long, slow process of permanent reconstruction. This exact challenge, how to create good, effective, temporary shelters, has pushed architects to get incredibly innovative. And there's one guy in particular who looked at this problem and saw a solution where, well, pretty much nobody else was looking. Let me introduce you to Shigeru Ban. This man is a Pritzker Prize winner, which is basically the Nobel Prize for architecture, so he's a big deal. He looked at the total chaos of disaster zones and saw a design problem. He asked, how can you build something strong, cheap, and fast, using materials you can find everywhere? And his answer was, to put it mildly, pretty unconventional. I mean, the sheer genius here is just incredible. The walls are made from recycled cardboard tubes. Yep, the kind you find inside a roll of fabric or paper. They're surprisingly strong, and they're super cheap. And the foundation? Get this, beer crates filled with sand. It provides a heavy, stable base that you can literally source locally almost anywhere on the planet. He first used this paper log house in refugee camps in Rwanda, and then, after the huge Kobe earthquake in Japan, it proved that world-class design wasn't just for fancy skyscrapers. Now, Ban's paper house is a brilliant, brilliant solution for certain situations, but it really highlights a key principle here. There's no single silver bullet. Every disaster is different. That's why relief organizations don't just have one tool, they have a whole toolbox, and they have to know exactly which one to pick for the job at hand. And you can really see the trade-offs right here. Tents, they go up in a flash, but they offer almost no protection from extreme heat or cold. Geodesic domes can handle incredible winds, but hey, try putting a bookshelf up against a curved wall. Shipping containers are super secure for sure, but without some very expensive modifications, they basically become hot boxes in warm climates. And earth bags, they use local soil for fantastic insulation, but building one takes a huge amount of community labor. The right choice always depends on the climate, the local culture, and the specifics of the crisis. Okay, so with all these different options on the table, how do you make sure there's a basic standard of living? How do you stop a relief camp from becoming a humanitarian catastrophe all on its own? Well, there's a rule book. Think of it as a universal building code for disaster relief. It's called the Sphere Standards. And this is not just a list of helpful tips. It's a globally recognized charter. It lays out the absolute minimum standards for survival and, importantly, dignity in a disaster. It covers everything from water to food and, of course, shelter. So why this number, 3.5 square meters? It seems so specific, right? Well, that's because this is the scientifically proven minimum space a person needs to prevent the rapid spread of airborne diseases like tuberculosis in a crowded camp. It's the difference between a shelter and a disease incubator. It's not just about comfort. It's a fundamental public health measure that also provides a tiny sliver of privacy in a world that's been turned upside down. Next up, 20. Now, this might seem like a small detail, but it's a life or death calculation. This is the absolute maximum number of people that can share a single toilet. If you go over that number, you create the perfect breeding ground for outbreaks of cholera and other diseases that can sweep through a camp and kill more people than the original disaster did. This one simple rule is literally a firewall against a second catastrophe. And finally, 500 meters. This is the absolute farthest anyone should have to walk to get clean water. And why? Because making people, especially women and children, walk long distances for water exposes them to incredible danger and violence. So this standard isn't just about hydration, it's about security. It's about designing a camp's layout to protect its most vulnerable people. So we have the phases of the response, the innovative designs, the whole toolbox of options, and the critical rules that guide it all. But what's the ultimate goal here? What is the one thing that ties all of these technical details together? It all boils down to this. Every single calculation, every material choice, every logistical plan, it's all in service of this one simple, powerful idea. The goal isn't just to build shelters, it's to provide safety, to restore dignity, and to create private space in the middle of a very public crisis. And to do it as fast as humanly possible. And that really leaves us with this powerful question. It's what drives architects like Shigeru Ban and every single humanitarian worker out there on the ground. Because they know, deep down, that disaster relief isn't just about building structures. It's about building that first, essential space where human spirit can finally begin to heal.